All right, we'll be back from the break. You're still watching Smart Lanes Business. It's Eid Day celebrations out of there. And of course, to all the Muslim brothers, we continue to wish you a happy Eid al-Fitr. Well, of course, as we're heading into our business insight this morning, we are quickly reminding you to invest and grow your investments with the Zabo platform. *292# is the USSD code that you definitely need to use to kickstart off your investment journey. After using the USSD code and you have no account yet with the platform, you need to use your national identification number to register. And after 24 hours, you will be able to kickstart off your investment. But, well, of course, as we kickstart off the world of investment, remember, with the Zabo platform, all you need to do is grow your investments as well. With just a minimum of 15,000 Ugandan shillings, you can easily invest in government bonds and kickstart off your investment journey. The markets open at 8:15 a.m. and closing time is 3:15 p.m. East African Standard Time. Please do note that these markets are fully closed during the weekends and on public holidays. Zabo, my money, my future. All Tech East Africa, do something new. And well, of course, yesterday, the Ministry of Finance released the fourth quarter release for the expenditures of the financial year 2022-2023. The fourth quarter does also sum up as the final quarter of the financial year. This financial year coming to an end on June 30th, before the financial year 2023-2024 kicks off on the 1st of July 2023. Now, of course, some of the provisions of the insight into the government spending priorities in the final quarter includes health, education and infrastructure, as well as debt servicing and security. Now, the amount of money which was released for the fourth quarter of this fiscal year is 5 billion Ugandan shillings, 5.59 billion Ugandan shillings, approximately 6 billion shillings, which is equivalent to 22.6% of the government's budget allocation, compared to the third quarter for the quarter's release of 20.428 billion. That is equivalent to 21.92 billion Ugandan shillings. It is anticipated that the release of this money will supply crucial sectors with the much needed resources. However, concerns remain over the efficiency of government spending and the long-term viability of Uganda's fiscal balance. Now, also, if you had to look at this, local governments and schools are set to get a total of 1.2 trillion Ugandan shillings, because according to this, the local government has received about 1.2 trillion as part of the public expenditure cash limits, which are set for the final quarter of the financial year 2022-2023. Now, if I'm to break down for you here a little bit before I take you through the insight here with the PSST Ramathan Gobi, the central government, when you look at the amount being released, the wages and salaries total up to 1.6 trillion Ugandan shillings. Then local government, 81.9 billion shillings. The education capitation grant is 111 billion Ugandan shillings. The Uganda Road Fund will be working out with 137 billion. Then the National Medical Stores, 110 billion Ugandan shillings. Then Kampala City Council Authority, 60 billion Ugandan shillings. And with that 60 billion as well, includes the money that KCCA is supposed to use to take over the issue to do with infrastructure development and maintenance. Now, that is for the central government. Now, also, when you look at the health institution operational funds, now this is to the health sector, the Ministry of Health will be receiving 4.5 billion shillings. Regional referral hospitals will be taking 20.3 billion shillings. When you look at Mulago Hospital, 18.7 billion shillings. Then Butabika, 1.8 billion. The Uganda Cancer Institute will be going on with 5.6 billion shillings. Then the Uganda Blood Transfusion, 3.8 billion shillings. The Uganda Virus Institute, 1.8 billion shillings. Now, when you follow up still, the local governments will be having a 1 trillion shilling budget, and its breakdown is the wage is 799 billion shillings. Non-wage is 193 billion shillings. The development expenditure is 8 billion Ugandan shillings. Now, besides that, when you look at the government agencies, that means programs like the parish development model. The parish development model for the last quarter will be receiving 264 billion. Uganda National Roads Authority, UNRA, 311 billion. Ministry of Works and Transport will be allocated 30 billion shillings for the final quarter of the year. And then Uganda Airlines Limited will have 27 billion shillings. The Ministry of Education and Sports, 9.7 billion shillings. And then pension and gratuity will be having 228 billion Ugandan shillings. So that is according to what the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development did release in its fourth quarter release, or the final quarter of the financial year release. Now, there is a warning on expenditure here, as the PSST, that is the Permanent Secretary to the Treasury, Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, Ramadan Gobi, cautioned public officials against incurring expenses where there are no funds for them, because he says that according to the economics he studied, you can only operate safely if you are using money that you have or money that you're actually making. So it's not wise for us to stretch the budget and use money that we do not have. So he indicated that the best option would be, for example, to eat within your means. If at all you're actually also earning less, you're not supposed to be spending more than you're actually earning. Now, our SMB Business Insight this time round focuses on the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, of course, releasing its fourth quarter, or the final quarter of the financial year, and the funds total up to 5.59 billion Ugandan shillings, if you are to look at this. And of course, this is not only that though, it's a total up of pretty much 5.59 billion for the fourth quarter of the fiscal year, which is equivalent to 22.6% of the government's budget allocation. Let's have this.
The ministry has already implemented a strategy to reduce not only domestic borrowing, but borrowing at large. As a country, we cannot afford to spend money that we don't have. And this is a message which I would like all Ugandans, if you really love your country, especially those in leadership, in ministries, in departments, in agencies, in parliament, in judiciary, please just know that as the entire world, you know, we've been in Washington, DC for last week, meeting for what they call spring meetings of World Bank and IMF. The entire outcry out there is reduced financing and funding across the world. Some countries, their capital markets have collapsed completely. They can't issue bonds. Why? Because they borrowed badly in the past. In Uganda, we are lucky that we've had this foresight leadership that maintained our debt levels at relatively manageable levels. But going forward, we need also to ensure that this is not only sustained, but improved further by borrowing less. That's why in the budget, which is ongoing now, the conversation should be on how do we fit our endless needs in the constraint that we have. That's how we live our lives. Like I always tell my people in government, the economics I learned taught me that we usually have to operate within a budget constraint. let the budget be the one, the money that you have, be the one to determine what you can fit in the budget. Not what the needs you have, that they must always get the money. No. So we are putting in place these systems to really catch our colleagues in public service, but also their agents, because much as we blame public servants on corruption, corruption is going on unabated in the private sector. It is the private sector who are the suppliers and so on. Corruption is in the political class and everywhere. We would want to put in place systems to ensure that these are addressed, these issues are addressed. On the Mabati and so I will not comment on those ones. They are, as you know, they are police matters and court matters. I don't want to prejudice court cases. Climate change financing, we are seriously pursuing it. I want to assure you this, Dr. Arthur. We have put in place a unit, and in Washington we agreed with our multilateral partners to revise our fiscal framework so that it is deliberately focused on attracting this financing as well as climate smart investments. We are going to go into carbon credits or carbon trading. We are going to go into exploring the Resilience Sustainability Fund of the IMF. There is a $40 billion fund which has been set up by IMF to support countries to sustain the environment. And also my team is studying the prospects of things like green bonds and so on to see how we can support further the climate change financing. On public administration expenditure, we are definitely, unless you are a novice, we are, as a government, we are in the mode of fiscal consolidation. We are reducing expenditure of government. Implementation of rationalization, it has delayed, but it is on track. The Office of Attorney General is finalizing the legal revisions needed to have these institutions rationalized. You are right on the jobs report. Going forward, we committed that we are going to work with UBOS to track jobs. These investments we make, how many jobs are we creating? But also how many jobs are destroyed per quarter. We need to know this, and we shall continue to track. And when we have finalized on the tool to get accurate data, you know, jobs are or employment generally is one of the most difficult variables to measure in the developing society like ours, because many of these jobs are informal. Even those which are formal, there are some, to get high frequency data on them is quite not easy, but we tasked UBOS. Dr. Mukiza and his team, they are working on a tool to track this. Once they finalize and they give us the data, we shall definitely be communicating it on a regular basis. Road maintenance and so on, I've already mentioned this. We are going to carry out a big overhaul of our infrastructure in Kampala. And we have already supported them to be working on the preliminary maintenance. His Excellency the President directed yesterday that we support KCC EFLE to ensure that they revamp, they fix the potholes. The Minister of Finance is always a very obedient servant of the state. We shall provide the resources and ensure that these are done. But as I told you, we have a bigger plan of getting Kampala roads reconstructed. On local revenue, we are supporting local governments definitely to collect more money. We have supported the systems development. to ensure that they have a system in place which is robust enough to collect revenue. That's why the revenue collection is improving. A few years ago, they were collecting very little money. Now, they are collecting some more money. That's why you have been hearing also this talk of our money is delaying with the finance. We have collected more money. You know, we release money that has been appropriated by Parliament. In the past, these local governments used to under-declare what they were collecting. Now with the systems and also URA sending the money to URA, they find that they have now collected more than what they declared in the budget. But for us to send it back, they have sometimes to first get Parliament to appropriate it, and that sometimes delays. But once Parliament has approved, we send this money. It is their money. So we shall continue to support the systems. We are continuing with the capacity building of local governments. I've had this investment in LED, the local economic development. This is something which my team, we need to pursue and ensure that LED, which was our own really creation as a nation with the support of UNDP, we need to implement it. It's the only way we are going to sustainably support local governments to create value, to create wealth, and be more contributor to our development. Trade deficit with Tanzania, you know, Tanzania is trading mainly with the SADC. Tanzania does not want to trade enough with the ESC. It is something our leaders are discussing at regional level on how they can get more involved with us. It is something which I'm sure in our meetings in Arusha we shall be taking on how to improve on this trading. But as you can see, we are becoming more and more relevant in the region. We are now exporting more to our neighbors. That's why some of them are closing sometimes borders. This good from Uganda because we are competitive. We have a comparative advantage on a number of things, food, and now we have also started to get some good results from our manufacturing sector. We manufacture goods and sell them across the borders. It's something which we are going to pursue very robustly. On the releases to local governments, that money which was being held at the center as
well, of course, that is depending to the Permanent Secretary to the Treasury, Ramadhan Gobi, as he was releasing, of course, according to him, the government had released 5 trillion shillings. That is for the fourth quarter, April to June of the current financial year. He did say that the funds were released on April 6th. He made the remarks during a press, of course, during a press conference hall of the Finance Ministry in Kampala yesterday. So it was 6 trillion, it was 5 trillion Ugandan shillings for the final quarter of the financial year. Andrew joins me now, like I did mention, to break down a little bit of this particular one. Well, when you look at this, according to the government breakdown of the Ministry of Finance, some of the key priorities and areas of core focus, health, education, infrastructure. I think our focus here on infrastructure it should be a key one because, first of all, when you look at the fact that the president, a day before yesterday, which was Wednesday, ordered the Ministry of Finance to allocate funds to KCCA
to repair for infrastructure,
to maintain
the roads.
Yes, and of course work on these roads again. That is a very big concern.
Yeah, very key. That's a very key. Actually, I was moving around. I saw some sort of maintenance that is going on, and some other parts. Though it's not really convincing. according to the look of things. What they're doing is more. Now, for example, if you're sloping down to, there is this tax park, Namaiba bus tax park there. There's a road which has quite lots of potholes. Lately, I've been passing by and I see some sort of a coverage in some areas, but it seems to me, it's like they just got mad and they covered that. I don't call that maintenance. I don't know whether it's just, it's yet to be official regarding that, because they have always been known, because I remember even in the recent times, if they got money from a certain foreign bank, it was some sort of a donation that was made to maintain the roads. And all they did was just cover a small portion. So I till now, actually, I have a question to Kampala City Council Authority. Was the money that was allocated then, was it the right? I'm trying to understand, was the maintenance done equivalent to the money that was allocated to that? As I'm already seeing on some roads, I mean, they're trying to cover up. Actually, even when you're coming towards Bakuni route, I can see there's some trying to, but it's still not convincing, because when it rains, it's funny that even what has been put somehow in just 1 month, it's already back to a very rugged state. I mean, the road is, it's very, you can't even pass there. And that is really impacting us. Me, I would really think, yes, maintenance is very key, but there is still need to expand the road funds allocation when it comes to, I mean, these constructions now, like the flyovers that are being constructed, we need to see adequacy, because regardless of whether the roads are maintained, yes, I know potholes contribute to the congestion, which also has an impact to the economy. But regardless, we've still seen roads which seem to be fair and in a very okay state, but still there is a congestion. I mean, it's in that way. So I believe it should cross over just maintaining the roads, but have a deliberate effort. And with the deadline, that's the thing which is also very important. However much we set priorities as a nation, we should have deadlines, and at least to a certain deadline, what percentage of the project must we have covered by then? Regardless of that, I think that would be much more of much benefit. But otherwise, road maintenance alone, of which the maintained roads don't even last more than a month, when they are back to their state where they were before, I feel like I am skeptical about that.
Okay.
Regarding that.
And of course, local governments and schools are also set to get 1.2 trillion Ugandan shillings in the final phase out of that. And the reason behind the budget cuts, of course, the PSST has been able to as well, break it down for you, because we want to live within our means as a country. So we should not be putting out, or we shouldn't be exceeding our expenditures. So we shouldn't be exceeding more than what we make. That is according to the Permanent Secretary to the Ministry of Finance, the Permanent Secretary to the Treasury. You're still watching Smart Means Business. And as we're heading into a break, remember to register and invest with Zabu. Zabu is a platform by Altex East Africa, which does remind you to do something new. And remember, with the platform, it is very easier for you to kickstart off your investment as easy and as fast as possible. Star 292 hash, the USSD code that you need to use. And also remember to kickstart off your investment journey with the platform with just a minimum of 15,000 Ugandan shillings. You are good to go. Zabu, my money, my future. Altex East Africa, do something new. Markets open at 8:15, close 3:15. Fully closed during the weekends and on public holidays. And right after the break, we shall be discussing more on the Eid Day celebrations. How prepared is the Muslim community, and is it worth celebrating in our country where some policies are yet to be rectified? Big on those conversations immediately after the break. Stick around. You're watching Smart Means Business. Good morning.